So I wanted to do a little quick review on the Allen Roth 10 by 12 canopy that you can buy at Lowe's. The reason I thought about this is I was at Lowe's last night with a friend of mine, and he decided to buy one for their backyard. They had them on clearance at Lowe's, and this video I'm putting it out around the end of May for like Memorial Day weekend. And they have them on clearance right now for like $400, or it was $498 or something, and we paid $598 for our, like, we bought this one 2 years ago, right before Memorial Day 2 years ago, for around, I think it was like around $600. So mine's a little different because we have an outswing door. I actually had to lift ours up on some blocks of wood here to give it enough clearance to go under the door. If you have an in-swing door, then you won't have to do that. We put it out on our back deck, and it actually worked out just right because our deck is 10.5 feet out here. I did have to notch my railing just a little bit because, as you can see there, I mean, we were about maybe a quarter of an inch too wide. So because you have the overhang here, even though it says 10 by 12, you're really more like 10.5 because you have that overhang there. And then this thing is really built really solid. We live in Georgia, and we get severe weather pretty frequently, and tornadoes and severe thunderstorms and pretty crazy wind and stuff like that. This thing has stood here for the past 2 years, and we haven't had any issues, and I don't hesitate to just leave it up during a storm. I do have it bolted down or screwed down to the deck with some timberlok lag screws. I've timberlocked it down into the deck so it's not going anywhere. When we first put it up, I had it just tied down to the deck with some straps. I was kind of scared, so I had the timberlocks and I had some rope tying it down, and then I quickly realized that the rope wasn't really necessary. So anyways, I mean, looking at the top of it, the back of our house is kind of faces northeast. You can see where it's 9 o'clock in the morning, so the sun is up there in the corner. Most of the day, this thing is actually in the shade from about like 12 o'clock beyond. You know, the sun's straight up ahead at 12, and then it's shaded by the house the rest of the day. So there's some mildew and stuff on it just from being out here. And we do have some pine trees above. I've taken some of them out. The only thing, we've only had one tear in this, and it's up on the little upper section, and it's not even in a part where if water drips through it, it just drips down, so it's not a problem. That's the only tear we've had, and that was because over this past winter there was like a branch from a tree that fell on it and punctured a hole in it, but otherwise it's been fine. No other tears, no other leaks. I did kind of create a gutter system here for ours because all that water's coming against the house, so I just went and got like a little piece of gutter. That's actually just a 3-inch downspout, and then I cut out the one side of it, and I made a gutter to go in here so that the water wouldn't go against the house, because what was happening is the water, like when it would rain, it was just rushing down here, and it was getting the door sill all wet, and it was getting inside. And so anyways, I made a gutter that just goes all the way down, and it's angled this way. Am I still zoomed out? Yeah, it's angled that way, and it just dumps out the end and pours out. It actually worked really, really well. But because of the pine trees and stuff back here, I do have to clean it out like once a year and just get all the pine needles and stuff out of it. But anyway, so here's the thing. We did buy the fan that they sell for it. This little fan actually puts out a lot of air. It moves a pretty good amount of air. And then we got some of these little LED lights to put up in here. For the fan thing, what we did is I actually got this little remote control. You can sort of see it down there. It's a remote control. It's like an outdoor remote control switched power outlet thing, and it's got a little key fob thing that we keep inside the house, and you can just you can keep it plugged in all the time and turn the lights and the fan on and off when you need to remotely. So works pretty well. The screens work pretty well. My only complaint about the screens is that they are a little dark. They darken up the space a little bit because they're very They're like more like fabric screens, so they sort of obstruct your vision. We only use them like if it really gets bad with the mosquitoes back here. And it does have these curtains too. We definitely use the curtains on this side of the tent in the evenings because the sun sets right over here. So in the late evening, it gets really, really bright here. So we'll close up that side when that happens. And then sometimes if there's a storm, or like if we're out here and it's raining, sometimes we'll close them up just to keep the rain from coming in while it's rain. If we know it's going to be like a quick little rainstorm, we'll just close them real quick and stay sitting out here. But overall, this thing works really, really well. It's built really, really stiff. It has these metal posts here, and then everything bolts in up there. This thing is super, super sturdy, and the canvas is still in good shape. It hasn't torn, and even this part, like, that part rubs against the house pretty much constantly, and it has not ripped at all. It's still in good shape. So I would recommend it. And right now, I don't know if Lowe's is discontinuing it or whatever, but again, we were there last night, and a friend of mine bought one, and they have it on clearance right now for, I think, around $400, or maybe it was $500. I can't remember what the exact price was, but it's a pretty good deal. I mean, for the money, this is the deal, because we bought this really as a temporary solution. Within the next 12 months, I actually plan on building a roof structure over this whole thing. I'm going to screen this hole in and make it a screened-in porch. But for now, this was sort of a temporary solution that we bought 2 years ago, and it's still, you know, temporary because I am a busy guy and don't have time to build that deck right now. So anyways, but I want to do this video. I hope it helps everybody. Definitely recommend this. This is the Allen Roth 12 by 10 by 12 tent, and it works out really, really well.